keep it locked and enjoy the ride. DJs Gene King and Ray Prasad have provided their listeners since 1996. Vibes and vinyl in your face.
You're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio. iLive Radio.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you for joining me this Sunday afternoon on the Patrick O'Morris Show right here on iLive Radio. This Sunday afternoon, we're sitting in the studio next to me is a young man. Well, I think you're younger than me because I'm old. I've been told a few times. MC Ironic, what's going on, man?
What's up? IRO NIC representing 613. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ottawa. I was like, wait a second. So you've bounced around a little bit for Edmonton, Ottawa, Toronto.
Yeah.
You're like all over the place.
Montreal, yeah.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about your new single. Maybe I was wrong.
Featuring Junior Reid, the one and only. One Blood.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about like Junior Reid is a legend, man.
Absolutely.
And figure out how you made that happen because I need Junior Reid to come in the studio and hang out with us for a minute. But yeah, you've been since what, like 11 or something? You've
11
been
years old.
Messing with a mic.
Tom Green was hosting.
Wow.
Was hosting CKCU.
Okay, most of the young kids today have no clue who that, or even that he was doing that.
Yeah, he was running.
That guy was crazy.
He was hosting a radio show, and what he would do even back in the day, he would wake his parents up on the air with the mic while they were sleeping at like 1 a.m.
I remember Tom Green he did some crazy stuff.
Yeah, he did some crazy stuff, and he actually. He mixed my first track. My producer, Chris Delfino, at the time, shout out to Chris Delfino. He's now the VP for Roland Communications US in Los Angeles.
Nice.
And he hooked me up with Tom Green, and Tom Green was hosting the show, and I was about 11 years old. And it was called 'Cause I'ma Go First. And he played that track, and it got a bunch of requests, and I sounded like a chipmunk. I was 11 years old, right?
So since 11, you've been on using this mic thing, and you started out battling.
Yeah, I started out battling in Ottawa, and then I got a little bigger when I moved to Toronto. I was doing the battle circuit in Toronto, Montreal, and then I did a couple of major battles in the States: Scribble Jam, the Super Bowl battle in Boston.
So how did you make the transition, or was it hard to make the transition from battling to, run your own songs? And
I just realized pretty quickly after a couple of years of battling that if you want to be a well-rounded artist, you gotta be known for writing songs, real songs. That's what I want to do at this point in my life. I still am extremely entertained by all these battles that come out. Shout out to King of the Dot, Grind Time, URL, all those platforms are absolutely insane, but I want to put out some classic material as a songwriter.
So okay, let's talk about your latest track, and how did that collaboration come together?
Well, a good friend of mine, Kisland Fletcher, he's the executive producer for Next Generation Sound. That's my production team. Shout out to Mashup. He's the one that made the beat. He actually produced my entire album, EP, 6-song EP, audio biography. And Junior Reid was doing a show in Brampton, and Kisland's a good friend of his, so he gave him a call, and he said, I got a tune for you, and here's what it's about. He sent him the beat. He sent him my verses, and he said, yeah, all right, I'll do it.
Okay, we're gonna play your track in a minute. When Jason gives me the cue when he's ready to go.
Absolutely.
But so the collaboration came together. You started putting the track together, and you filmed in Jamaica.
Yeah, we did. We went down in the grill, and Junior Reid actually has a hotel in Kingston, and Kisland's family. They always stay in the grill. They got family up there, so they said, you know what, come down and we'll put you up for the night. And he brought all his sons, Juju Blood, Young JR, you'll see Bubba Shaba, a couple of his boys came up too, and Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
All right, so I think we're ready. Are we ready, Jay? All right, we're gonna play that track right now. Maybe I was wrong with Ironic and Junior Reid. Take it away, Jay.
Junior Reid and Ironic. See them get panic. Junior Reid and Ironic. They say my number.
Maybe I was wrong and responded without thinking first. I wish I could turn back time, but none of this could be reversed. None of this could be the same. Words can't explain my pain. I wouldn't even want my son now to claim my last name. The shame's too much to bear. In such despair, I rushed out there. I knew I wasn't prepared. Stuck scared without a prayer. There's nothing I can say. It's already taken place. It can't be erased. But looking back at those final days now seems like a state of grace. I can remember last September 1st moving back home. Back to that crew you grew up with, but now we was all full grown. Reunion show, new video, rocking local radio. I can remember saying to myself, it's gotta be our fate to blow. Linked up with the same girl I was with from back in the day. That one you stay thinking of regardless how long you've been away. By December she had my seed inside her stomach growing. Raw emotion ran overflowing when I first heard his heartbeat going.
Maybe I was wrong and responded so selfishly. I wish I could change what I've done. So child help me as I see my life flash before my eyes so swiftly. Maybe one day long after this song you will forgive me.
It's winter time, shorty stressing how we gonna survive. Spending half my government checks recorded to keep my dreams alive. The other guys in the group are in a similar situation, so we recognize what's on the line and try to remain patient. I know if we get our tracks in the right hands, our dreams will be a reality. Everything will come back tenfold and support my family. Yeah, it's a line shot, but it's all I've ever wanted. I'm about to be a father, and still a starving artist. So I get a job scraping a flat top, working the grave shift at a local late night diner. Still I can't save ish. My boss is on my case, pick up the plates, keep the pace quick. He's a two-faced son of a bitch, man, I can't wait to quit. See, there's no greater sadness than to see talent wasted. We finished the record as spring hits and we so close I can taste it. Problem is there's no cash to get it pressed after it's mixed and mastered. I feel like my life's in limbo the way I'm bending backwards.
Maybe I was wrong and responded so selfishly. I wish I could change what I've done. So child help me as I see my life flash before my eyes so swiftly. Maybe one day long after this song you will forgive me.
She be going to labor any day now when it's almost summer. I'm excited and nervous for my son's birth with insatiable hunger. The day my son's born, I'm filled with a more joyous feeling than I ever could have imagined. Heaven helped create this human being. He's the sweetest thing I've ever seen as I beam with hopes and dreams. It isn't long before it all goes wrong, or so it seems. It hits the fan hard after speaking with a folk. She ends up leaving with my son before he's even 6 weeks old. I start drinking like a madman, thinking like a bad man. One night while I'm mashing in a beer can, I come up with a master plan. That local late night diner where I'm hopelessly enslaved. The manager's an amateur and knows the combo to the safe. To do this robbery properly, I have to come in when the place is empty. Creep up in his ski mask while he's in the back, flash the gat and scream, don't tempt me. This is what it's come down to. Gotta do what I gotta do. I scope it out, wait till Monday at 3 a.m. I come through. Everything seems cool, ain't nobody in the joint. Just surveillance showing an assailant holding an employee at gunpoint. Some waitress forgot her purse, saw me through the window first. She dropped the dime in no time. The spot's crowded with cops, for better or worse, I'm cursed. That ain't how I planned it. Desperation turns to panic. Oh, I thought I had it. Stuck caught and twined in habit. I can't see my boy become a man from behind a plexiglass. Can't get my family back. Just like that, my whole world collapsed.
All right, so we're back. Maybe I was wrong with Junior Reid and Iconic. When you were writing this, like, where did that come from? Where did that place? Because you've been through some stuff, and I was listening to some of your other tracks, and like I was saying earlier, you sound angry. Why are you so angry, man?
I think it was more or less when I was a youngster. I really, in order for anyone to take you seriously, in my day, you had to show and prove. You had to put up or shut up. You had to show your skills. You had to show why. Why do you deserve to be a part of this culture? Show me. And I think that aggression just comes. It's almost like being a boxer, right?
Yeah.
You want to step in the ring. You want to prove yourself. In the latter years, obviously, as my life started to fall apart, that's what I was feeling. That's what I was going through, and music is a reflection of life, and this was a reflection of my pain at that moment.
With so we've talked a little bit earlier, you know, before we were on air about some of the people that influenced you, and so you know, you talked about Michie Mee and Maestro, Dream Warriors, some of the, you know, pioneers of Toronto hip hop.
Absolutely.
You know, and then some of the guys like KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, all of those guys. How did they like? Why was hip hop that thing that you needed to do instead of rock or, you know, even R&B or anything else? Why is hip hop the thing for you?
I don't know. It's ironic. It just. I was about 11. It was '89, and I remember seeing "Let Your Backbone Slide."
Yeah.
And it was the best thing in the world. It was the best thing in the world I had ever seen.
Yeah.
And I saw Act 1 and Act 2. Those were his dancers. And they're doing the
Yeah.
dope state.
Oh, yeah.
And they're and the drop the needle move. You thread your back of your leg through your knee, and it was awesome. It was awesome. It was wonderful, intense energy. You know, and I at the time, you know, my mom had 4 kids. She was stressed out lady. My father wasn't home. She was angry all the time. And I think I identified with it was an outlet. You know what I mean? I was constantly getting kicked out. And it was something where, I don't know. You know, some kids decided to, I don't know, some kids listen to death metal.
Yeah.
That didn't appeal to me.
So when you decided this was the career path you wanted to go, like, what'd your mom say?
You're going to get laughed at.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
She didn't say no, you know, you should go become an accountant or something?
No, I guess she just didn't take it seriously. You
Yeah.
know, she probably thought I was just rebelling.
Yeah.
You know.
Were you?
At the time, I mean, every teen. I mean, that's what rock and roll is. That's what. At the end of the day, hip hop, in my mind, is just wonderful rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's a morph. You know what I mean? From Chuck Berry to KRS.
Yeah.
You know, it's all energy, right? And yeah, I was rebelling at the time, but it was also I was a part of something.
Yeah.
Where at home I didn't feel like I was a part of anything, and when you go to the park at the community center and there's the circle, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, you're b-boying and everyone's got a cipher and you're spitting, you're a part of something.
Okay. You know, for those of you who are just joining online, sitting next to me is Jay Aronik, and we're talking about his new single, Maybe I Was Wrong, with Junie Reed.
Wonder.
Just talking about his life and how this collaboration came together. Now, so you went through a process of battling, and then you switched over to writing music for yourself.
I did.
And then that was, I guess that was kind of a logical progression for you.
Well, you know, right when I was battling, the group fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
My son's mother left. My parents were going through a divorce.
Yeah.
Everything was, and
There's a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on, and I just felt like putting it down on paper, as opposed to putting down some multis about some guy I'm gonna go battle in a couple of months. You know, it was what was going on in my life. It was just spilling out onto the page, you know, and like that song, Maybe I Was Wrong, is from a different time. That's you know what I mean. That's about 5 years old. That's from a different time in my life.
Yeah.
And if anything, I can look back at it as a reflection, as a motivational tool for the future.
You mentioned the group BMW.
Yeah, Half Size Giants. Half Size Giants. The first album was called BMW.
Yeah.
And
what did that stand for?
Black, Mexican, White.
So where did that name come from?
Well, we were young, and it was
Yeah.
that whole era, right? It was almost like kid groups were a novelty.
Yeah.
There was the Youngsters, there was Crisscross, TBTBT in Toronto, Too Bad to Be True, and the Half Size Giants. And that was one thing where, I mean, we were young, like 13, 14-year-old kids. The Jamaican guy chanted reggae, the Mexican rapped in Spanish, and me.
Yeah.
But when we did our live shows, you know what I mean, energy was through the roof.
You-
So people started, half-size giant. It's ironic.
You guys went around, did some shows?
Oh, like I
You
said,
guys
we opened up for
were-
KRS, we opened up for Naughty, we opened up for House of Pain, we opened up for Snow. Snow, that was at the height of the 12 Inches of Snow tour.
Yeah.
And to play the Metropolis when you're about 13, 14 years old, and it's a packed house, was insane.
So you were again, you touched on this a little bit. So you were, getting some success, getting some fame under your belt, and then you had entered some dark.
Well, you're also young
periods.
too, right?
Yeah.
And there's stuff going on backstage,
There's never stuff going on backstage. What are you talking about? What kind of stuff?
And that was also at an era when, you're young and, there's peer pressure. You're backstage. You want to be a part of the party. You want to be a part of the, you want to hang with the older dudes and
Yeah.
whatnot. And
Do what they do.
Yeah, you want to do what they do. You sneak it. You're looking up to a lot of guys that you see their habits, and you're thinking that this is normal.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it is for some, and that's fine. But it ended up becoming coming back to bite me in the butt. It wasn't just something social. It ended up,
Becoming a way of life.
it ended up becoming a way of life. Yeah, about 5 years ago, I was waking up with a shot of whiskey. I was waking up and drinking before I got behind the wheel to go to work. That's an alcoholic.
Yeah. And so going through what you went through, how did you find your way out of that wet paper bag? What kept you sane? Because there are you hear a lot of musicians who end up with a variety of different substance abuse, and they never recover. Mm-hmm. Some go completely off the deep end, take their lives. There's other people who just never leave the bottle alone. There's different stages of it. But for you, what was it that kept you, on the path that you needed to stay on, or you wanted to stay on?
I was 225 pounds.
Yeah.
I'll show you a picture. I look like a miniature John Goodman. Every year, at that progression, every year, more and more, I was looking like a garden gnome.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And, one day I woke up and I cracked open a Mickey A. Jameson's. It was about 9:30 in the morning. And a picture of my son it fell out of a drawer.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it, and as I was pouring the shot, and I said to myself, this is it.
Yeah.
Dude, at that point, my son was about, he was about 6 years old, 7 years old. And I played the tape, dude. Do you want your son to know his daddy the drunk? Do you want him to, at this age, to be like, this is my daddy the drunk?
Yeah.
And that was it. I went to work, drove myself to a meeting.
Yeah.
And started running on an empty stomach.
Was that one of the hardest things you've ever had to do?
Absolutely. Because it was my way of life, and it was a way to numb the pain that I'm getting a raw deal, music didn't work out, things aren't going my way, the industry's changing, the type of hip hop I'm doing isn't popular.
Yeah.
This is something that
You got to start mumbling more in your music.
Oh yeah, I keep it, my people. And that was it, right? So I was very angry and bitter for a long time.
Yeah.
And I used to, I'd listen to old school hip hop, and I'd drink, smoke my brains out, and just complain.
Yeah.
And vent. You know, and venting, all you're doing is sitting in a pile of crap and moving around in it. You're
Yeah.
not doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's all you're doing,
Yeah.
right? So I said to
But
myself,
and there's a certain level of comfort even in the midst of the madness. There's a certain level of comfort.
oh yeah, well, I can do this. I can do this for the rest of my life. You know, and even my old man was saying, you know, you should make out a will for your son, because I don't know. I'm like, well, you know, I'm gonna be fine. He said, well, Chris, I don't know how much longer you're gonna be. What are you saying that for? I'd get mad, you know. I'd get mad, speed off my car and hit the liquor store, and, you know, can't believe they say that, you know. But that was it. I was in my early 30s. I just turned about 32, and I said to myself, okay, you want to still pursue music? You want to get your life together? I just had an epiphany, and I said to it was when I looked at that picture of my son on the floor, and I said to myself, do you want your son to see you like this? Do you want, is this the normality, you know? Do you want to be one of those dads? And at the same time, I have I have all this catalog of music that I haven't released. If anything, I want to be in the right frame of mind when I release it, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so what would you say at this stage in your life, knowing everything that you know, what you've gone through, if you were to be able to talk to yourself, you know, when things started to
Don't do it, man.
when things started to you know,
Ghost of Christmas Past.
yeah. What would you tell yourself at that pivotal moment in your life? Because there are a lot of young artists, you know, that are at that stage right now, that things are starting to get that recognition.
And it's I was watching. You know what? I was watching an interview with Tekashi 6ix9ine on the Breakfast Club, and you know, he's explaining what he's going through. I couldn't imagine to be that age, and everyone was saying "Test my gangster," all that whole. Like, I mean, he's you know, he's been a real mouthpiece to everyone in the industry. But if you're that young and you got all that fame and people are coming at you, it's hard to have discipline. That's the one thing I would say to myself is this is why you have to have discipline. Because those artists, my hat's off to them, that are in their late teens or early 20s that have that discipline, even it goes as far as their diet and their regimen and their focus, because they see. Yeah. They see where they want to be at 35. A lot of young artists are at a point where the money's here, just spend, and then they don't realize that you know, in 5 years
the money's gone.
The money's gone, and you're an afterthought. You're a joke at a party that people are saying, "Oh yeah, I remember so and so." Yeah, you know what I mean. What I say to myself: wake up. Yeah. Wake up. Wake up. That's the first thing I'd say is wake up. Wake up. What do you value? What do you value? Because I mean, my life today. And it's unbelievable. My life today is more full, more vibrant. My relationship with my family and friends is closer. The communication is deeper than it's ever been. I go on vacation, I remember everything. You know.
That's important.
But it's also how you interact. It's how you interact with people and whatnot. It's also, you know, you can't go through life numb. You know, sometimes it's good to be pissed off. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to be sad. Sometimes it's good to be miserable and feel miserable and let it pass. That's how you deal with your emotions. You know what I mean? If you're going to feel one emotion the entire time, you're not experiencing life. The society that we live in today, you know, you touched on this a little bit as well, and that is that music is changing. Yeah. Energy. Has changed. Yeah, energy. You know, from your style is not necessarily what, quote unquote, is in at the moment. No. And so why haven't you shifted to what's in? Why have you continued to? I mean, I got some contemporary tunes on my EP, you know, but for the most part, the foundation of what I do is traditional hip hop. You know, I can't change that. And especially with my specific style, it's Caribbean influenced hip hop. If you maybe it's from my group, with growing up with a large amount of Jamaicans. It's in my lyrics. It's in my style. Even Toronto. It's in the whole image of Ontario. Is the Caribbean influence. You can hear it. You can hear it in the lingo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of the way everybody talks in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. Well, Montreal is Quebec, but same thing.
Yeah.
You know, you hear that Caribbean vibe, and it's all over in my music. I mean, we got Jekyll. He's a reggae artist from Ottawa. We got Junior Reid on my album. There's a lot of Caribbean influence all over my EP, and that's something that you don't see in the States.
Yeah.
Even with the DJs up here in Toronto when they spin, you're starting to see it now. It's just I don't know. Maybe I'm ahead of my time. Maybe I'm doing something. I'm going left when everybody's going right. But I think it's slowly starting. Hip hop influenced reggae, reggae influenced hip hop is going to blow the doors wide open on music pretty soon. You can even see it with Rihanna and Drake, One Dance and whatnot. It's slowly, it's commercialized R&B-ish, but traditional hip hop influenced by reggae is something that we need to look at more. That's something that, I mean, Kool Herc's from Jamaica. You know, he brought the tables to the Bronx. You know, and the whole thing the MCs would do is toast the DJs, right? Yeah. So the two go hand in hand.
Again, if you're just joining us, sitting next to me is MC Ironic, and we're talking about his new album, Maybe I Was Wrong, featuring Junior Reid. And so, you've got this new single that's out right now, and have you been getting a lot of love?
You know what? I have, and I've also been getting a lot of feedback. There's a lot of controversy around it, but I got to be honest.
Controversy?
Yeah.
What? We talk about that? I'm curious.
Yeah, there's obvious Eminem comparisons.
So you sound like the other angry guy.
Yeah, I sound like the other older, angrier white guy. And you know what? It is what it is, man. You know, it was on. Can I say another station's name?
Yeah.
K100 in Atlanta played it on Ill or Kill, and you get if you get more kills than ills, they throw you in the trash, and if you get more ills than kills, they put it in a rotation. And we got 13 ills, and we got 6 kills. And to have that, to get into rotation, and to earn my stripes in Atlanta on that radio show was amazing to see it stand the test. But those that hated immediately were saying, yeah, it sounds like Eminem. Yeah. This is why I hate white rappers, blah, blah, blah. And that, you know what, at the end of the day, that's fine. You know, everyone's...
Do you think you sound like Eminem?
No.
No?
No, I mean, I could show you albums when I was 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which was about 8 or 9 years before the Slim Shady LP. And I sound like me, you know. That's like saying Bronson sounds like Ghostface, or you know, maybe he does, but he wasn't trying.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to. You know what I'm saying? I just sound like me. It is what it is. I mean, if people want to draw that comparison, I'm flattered.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the greats, so be it.
All right. Again, we talked a little bit about this off camera, but music is a time capsule. It has the ability to capture certain emotions, certain feelings, and so, I want to ask you if you had to pick some songs that were kind of like the soundtrack of your life to date, what would some of those songs and artists? What would that be?
You know, it's funny that you just mentioned it because one just popped in right now. Obviously, Drop the Needle, Let Your Backbone Slide.
Yeah.
Ain't No Half Steppin'. That was one from Big Daddy Kane that I used to bump all the time as a teenager. When I at the this is hilarious though, but I'll be straight up about it because even when I did this,
as long as you're not going to say Weird Al or something like that.
Sinatra, My Way.
Oh, really?
When I would pound a bottle of Jameson's, look at my son, wonder where he was because his mom took him and I couldn't find them. I'd put on My Way, pour the bottle of Jameson's, and stare at a picture of my son and just sit in misery.
Oh, wow.
And when we do that one scene, right at the end of Maybe I Was Wrong in the video, when I'm surrounded by the Armada, a robbery's gone completely wrong, and basically I can't see my son grow up behind a plexiglass.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out and face the cops and force them to shoot me. Mm-hmm. I'm there and I'm playing the tape, and I'm starting to bawl, right? I'm starting to tear up, and to get into the feel of the scene right there, I had on my phone, My Way from Sinatra playing. Oh. I took the blows and did it my way. I'm starting to get all teary-eyed, getting ready to die.
I wasn't expecting Sinatra, but...
Also, another one from my Trailer Load, you know what I mean, with Shaba.
Yeah.
For sure, man. That would, if you're going to the community dances or something like that, that would come on. You grab whatever girl's next to you, and yeah, it was on.
All right, I'm gonna ask you. Okay, so, what artists would you want to work with that you haven't worked with? Like if you had to, live or dead? Oh, you know what? Let's do a live first.
Live first?
Yeah. Who's currently alive that you'd want to work with right now?
Nas.
Yeah.
Nas. And ironically, one of my tracks, the one we're going to release after this, is with his boy AZ. Mm-hmm. So we're going to.
Why Nas?
Why Nas?
Yeah.
I'm a huge Nas fan. I remember that Represent is one of from my teenage years, from like 16 to 20.
Yeah.
Represent from the Illmatic album. That's all over my childhood. That's that entire album. Mm-hmm. Well, I used to bump that crazy. He's one of his writing ability is poetry to the ear.
Yeah.
And the way he can tell a story.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, isn't that? Is music, hip hop nowadays. There's not a lot of storytelling.
No, it's all.
Do you think that?
Not even names.
Do you think that's going to come back?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I even heard the RZA make that one comparison. Music goes zig zag zig.
Yeah.
Right now we're on a zig. We just got to wait for it to go back to the zag.
Yeah.
Everything comes full circle.
All right. So, okay, an artist that's no longer alive that you'd want to work with if you could have.
Jeez.
Master
you know who else? Honestly, Bender, and he recently passed away. Mm-hmm. He's an MC from Ottawa. His name's Bender, and he was one of the first champions of King of the Dot. And shout out to Bender. God bless you. He was commemorated in the Source. He was a good friend.
Yeah.
I watched him battle all the time. He was an amazing writer, an amazing painter. And this guy just passed away a couple of weeks ago. I never got to do a song with him.
Oh, man. And that's recent.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a huge mural in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Downtown, right by Ottawa Tech. Downtown Ottawa, dedicated to him.
Nice.
Some gorgeous graffiti work.
Does your son listen to your music?
Yeah, of course he does. And like I said, I showed him one of my tracks the other day, and he said, "It needs a lot of work, Dad."
Put some auto-tune in there.
Yeah, throw some auto-tune. These kids in the auto-tune. Oh my God.
What do you think? Okay, so you've seen the progression of hip hop music in general over the last little while, and you've seen the influence of auto-tune. Do you think that's what do you think of that? Do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing, or it's just a thing?
I'm not gonna lie. I've heard a couple. I've heard some. I think everyone will say that they've heard a track with auto-tune that's a dope track.
Yeah.
I just think the market's oversaturated with it. It's kind of like back when everybody was wearing jerseys and hats. What do we all play for the same team? You know what I mean? It's something that's. It's nice to see diversity in music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has what you went through, that dark time that you went through, how has that shaped your music today versus from before? Is there a difference?
Definitely, a lot. I'm a lot more conscientious of what I write about, of what the energy I'm projecting.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna write something that's dark, or if you're gonna write something that could be deemed as aggressive or criminalistic, or what, there's got to be a purpose to it. What is the purpose of this track? What are you trying to show the listener at the end result? You know what I mean? If it's about hustling or whatever, okay, are you trying to show your blood and sweat and tears that you went through, that you're trying to show the listener that you don't have to do this, there's another way.
Yeah.
There has to be a positive message at the end of the road.
With hip hop, there has always been an ongoing discussion about what's being portrayed in the story. So is it glorifying violence? Is it glorifying anger? Like all this stuff. And so for you, when you, like I said, a little earlier, you do sound a little, aggressive.
Angry.
I sound a little angry.
At that time, it's a reflection of what my life was, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of MCs that will, especially in gangster rap, will say, well, I'm just a product of my environment.
Yeah.
And that song, maybe I was wrong, was the product of my reality at that moment in time.
Is there a concern that, somebody listening to it might get the wrong message out of it?
Well, at the end of the song,
yeah,
it all goes horribly wrong. I say I can't see my son grow up from behind a plexiglass.
Yeah.
I'll never get my family back. Just like that, my whole world collapsed. So, and in video, I wake up, it was all a dream. And God's given me a second chance. So it's kind of showing the listener, there's two paths.
Yeah.
You can go left, you can go right, you can drive through the fork in the road.
It's when we think about the state of music today in terms of there's so much. Anybody can be a producer, drop something on YouTube all over the place, and there's so much noise that's out there.
Yeah, the net. When I was a kid, it was the CD. You had HMV and you had Much Music, and it was the CD video format.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
The internet, is a great place, but
it's
it
a blessing and a curse.
Pardon me. It's a blessing and it's a double-edged sword because it gives people a platform that have no business having a platform. Like that girl, what's her name? Bad Baby or the Cashmere.
We don't have to give names.
Yeah, I said too much. She should not be rapping. This girl should not be rapping. Jesus. Whoever's writing their stuff's that, hey.
So, how do you think that it's better now? It's easier now for an artist to do their thing?
Yeah, for me to come off like a 6-year hiatus.
Yeah. And
to be able to sit here with you and discuss what I've gone through.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing, absolutely. It gives a chance for people that would have normally never be heard. Like the great immortal Technique, once said, this goes out to MCs who will never be heard. And that's true. There's MCs floating around the world.
Yeah. That
just don't have the platform, that are gifted.
We talked a little bit about what you would have told yourself. So your son, is he getting into music?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He spits.
You would encourage him?
I encourage him. I took him to the studio when he was 9. I wrote him his first verse. I showed him breath control, how to spit on the mic. He knows how to scratch, all that. Yeah.
So is he? Kids these days, they're kind of like, I got it. This, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, he's kind of like that too. Yeah, he's like that too.
So how do you sort of nurture his creativity and figure out, that balance you gotta between giving him direction and then figuring out how to balance his creativity?
Well, in general, artists are sensitive, right? Everybody's sensitive about their material.
Yeah. And
especially with my son, I'll say something, this is what is amazing about it first. Yeah. And then, okay, but you could improve on, before, if you hit him off, you hit it.
So you're not as blunt as he is, saying that you need some work on that.
No, he'll throw his criticism at me like a ton of bricks. He doesn't care. But especially with him, I want him to stick with it, right?
Yeah.
So I want to give that positive encouragement first before I give any constructive criticism.
You talked about seeing the photo of your son and that was like the wake-up call for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that morning. Does he know your story?
No, he doesn't. I mean, he's in the car right now with the Wi-Fi, and he has no clue.
Yeah.
You know, see, and what's ironic is that we did that podcast, from K100. I don't think it's a podcast actually. In Atlanta, there was no playback. I didn't know if there was a playback.
Yeah.
And I mean, my manager and my producer were saying, well, let's see. You won. You're in rotation. Let's see what the feedback was. And I said, no, it was live. And then my son called me and said, oh, yeah, it's on YouTube, Dad.
Everything's on YouTube.
I'll send you the link. You know, and I didn't think that, you know. So he's even, there's things that he's plugged in with that he can show me, you know, as far as technology is concerned, right? You know, and even he sends me beats. There's he sent me this beat called Wakanda the other day. Yeah. And it's something that I mean I'm not gonna say the producer's name right off the bat because I'm not sure I don't want to be copywriting for, but
no problem.
It's a dope beat. He's like, Dad, I could see you on this, and it's something I would have never seen myself spitting on. Yeah. You know, so he does influence. His fingers on the pulse. So now
he's pushing you.
Yeah.
For those of you who are just joining, you know, sitting next to me is MC Ironic, and we're talking about his new song, Maybe I Was Wrong, with Junior Reid. And the video was shot in Jamaica.
It was shot in Negril, and it was also shot, the storyline was shot in Ottawa.
In Ottawa, okay.
At Tropical Heat. Shout out to Tropical Heat. My boy Mike, he owns a great jerk chicken store, Caribbean restaurant.
So what's next for you? Like you dropped a single now. You're working on an album, more collaborations.
Yeah, I got another track with AZ.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of that whole movement, the whole Queens 90s era. That was what I grew up on, right?
Yeah.
CNN and Mobb Deep and all that stuff. But we got a track with AZ we're about to release after this one. I have another track with my boy Jekyll. He's a reggae artist from Ottawa. And we're just going to keep pushing singles. I want to jump on some live shows, some small tours, maybe play Blues Fest in Ottawa.
There are a lot of artists that are they're not so much focused on albums.
Well,
anymore.
it's a different game now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much what it is. It's a different game, and it's single. I mean, I think some of the greatest artists right now are just putting out mixtapes and singles. The format's changed.
Yeah.
Completely. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same. It's you don't need an album.
Yeah.
People, you know, I don't. If someone's a true fan, they'll go buy that album. But the attention span has shortened.
Yeah, that's actually something we haven't really talked about. In that, you know, the attention span has definitely shrunk. And wherein before, you know, the opening of a song, before you even hear the lyrics, 30, 40 seconds, you know.
Yeah, and I remember in my day where you would go to the record store and you'd want to put your hands on that, and that still exists.
Yeah.
There are true diehard fans,
yeah.
And especially in underground hip hop, they want that CD. They want to see the packaging. They want to go through the lyrics. They want to go through, see who produced what. They want to see the photographs.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of people just want to download it. And, okay, you know, I'm going to put this in the car. I'm going to have it at the gym. You know, there's next. You got to keep bringing that heat, right?
There's so artists now make more money from shows than they do from selling music. So with the way that the industry is right now, and you're kind of doing everything, right?
Pretty much.
So you're doing your own marketing, you're booking your own shows, you're doing, you know, all of that. You get a bigger piece of the pie.
But it's more responsibility, and you know, you also have to be business savvy. You know, you have to be an accountant. You have to be conscious of who you're dealing with. You got to be. You can't just write music. When I was a kid, I just wanted to write music and do shows.
Yeah.
But as far as
And let someone else worry about the rest of the stuff.
yeah, all the business aspect of it is something that artists are forced to deal with today. I think there's very, very few artists that are rocking independently and don't know the business side.
How is that a good thing? You think? Do you think it's better? Because now there's more control with the artist.
It is, because the artist knows it has more control over their destiny. The artist is more conscientious of their full potential, and they can't complain and say, "Well, I want to do it this way," or "I wanted to do it that way." You have the opportunity.
Yeah.
You control your destiny.
How do you balance that? So you got to walk in a sense on a razor's edge in a way, because you got to eat, and what you do may not necessarily be played on mainstream radio.
Exactly.
And so the larger audience may not necessarily hear you, but you want to stay true to your own creativity, but you got to eat.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Well, unless you're independently wealthy, I don't know, but I'm assuming you're hungry.
Yeah, I own a demolition company, but you're right. At the same time, I mean, right now I'm building my brand again.
Yeah.
Major checks coming in. No, do I want to be able to eat off this? Absolutely, but you got to build your house first before you can invite anybody in. So a matter of having a plan, a formulated plan, and the fact that I own my own business now, and those dealings every day with generals, subcontractors, the warehouse, our inventory, different contracts, even just dealing with residentials and customer service. This all applies to music.
Yeah.
This is all something that bleeds over into another genre. And I'm applying that stuff to the Ironic brand. Is it going to take a lot more? Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I'm just getting started.
You took was it 5 years, 6 years?
6.
That you were off?
6. I took a 6-year hiatus.
A 6-year hiatus. And being away for that time and then coming back and reestablishing yourself.
I always listened to hip hop. I watched the game change. But being away, and
there's a lot of people they're out of the game for a little bit, and then they come back and they're kind of copying what they were doing when they were just left. In the meantime,
everything's changed.
Everything's changed.
It's like a guy that gets out of jail and he's wearing baggy jeans.
I know the movie you're talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So how do you make sure that you're still relevant?
As long as you're putting out good music, the rest will come full circle. If you know, you know what I mean? If you know in your heart, and you also got to take constructive criticism, but as long as what you're putting out is well written and it's quality music, it's timeless. It's timeless.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that whole timeless thing. So, but if you're just joining me right now, we've got like about 10 minutes left, and sitting next to me is MC Ironic, and we're talking about his latest single, Maybe I Was Wrong, with Junior Reid.
And sorry, that producer's name was Wonderlust.
Wonderlust.
In case we can work out something for that Wakanda beat, just putting that out
Just
there.
putting it out there.
Yeah. All right.
Everything's Wakanda right now.
Good movie. Took my son to see it last week.
Now we look at there are some artists that are firecrackers, or they explode.
Yeah, and they surpass everyone.
They're bright, and then they burn out real quick. And then you have artists, like LL Cool J. Stuff will always be played. Prince. Stuff will always be played. Bowie. The list goes on and on. There are artists out there that their music is kind of timeless in a way. You will always hear their stuff being played, and then there are other artists that they're the flavor of the month, and they're gone. When you're writing, do you consider what you want to be like that?
Yeah, see, that's the one thing. The beauty of being independent
Yes.
is that if I still want to put out music at 56 and I still have a fan base, I can still do it. I mean, I still, regardless, at that age, I still want to be writing songs. I doubt that if you're putting out music consistently over decades, independently, that you're going to lose your fan base, you know, unless the quality of your music dwindles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know that I'm going to get better with time, that I'm always learning, I'm always evolving. My songwriting skills are always evolving, and the music is always changing. I definitely want to be, I still want to be, even if at the end of the day, and people say this all the time, you got to make music for the people.
Yeah, man, we forget about the people.
You got to make music for the people, but you got to make music that you're happy with.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people ask me right off that, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, you're 38 years old. You're, you know, you've been out of the game for like 6 years. You just put out this track. You know, you got to make some Drip Sauce records, or you got to make some, you know, something that's.
You got to appease the masses.
Some trap.
Some trap and auto-tuning.
And, yeah, that's great. I mean, we can talk about that, but I want to get this off my chest first.
Yeah.
Because this is where I was at, and that's, like I said, that song is 5 years old. And the fact that it's getting that love, that people are saying, I relate to that struggle. I relate to that. I hear your pain. I see that. I see, you know what I mean? I can hear it in your voice, in your lyrics. This is something for anything, young fathers, that, you know what I mean, as a message to just, you know, hang in there.
When you're on stage performing, what is that experience like for you?
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's connecting and interacting with your fans, with the culture. That's the high. That is the exact same feeling.
Yeah.
As pounding a half a pint of whiskey.
With less of a side effects, I'm assuming.
And, you know, and just boom, you're on cloud nine. You're on cloud nine and you're rolling. That's the exact same high. It really is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be controlling a crowd and they're all throwing their hands up and you're directing them and, you know, you're engaging with them, they're engaging with you, and they feel what you're saying. That's what it's all about.
All right, we got a few minutes left, so I want to, you know, for those who are, you know, we work a lot with independent artists, up and coming independent artists. So for a lot of those guys who are coming up, who are in that stage that, you know, you were, what would you say to them in terms of advice?
Stick with it. You know, at the end of the day, you got to have quality music.
Yeah.
You have got, but if you have the drive, you're gonna get there. Your music's gonna get better. Your writing ability is gonna get tighter. The sound, you're gonna, it's like polishing a jewel, man. Every day, you work at it. You hone your craft. You keep honing your craft. You're gonna get better at it. You build your brand. You're gonna learn. You're gonna evolve. It all comes down to dedication. At the end of the day, you know.
How important is your crew?
Like,
in your business, you know, in your music, how is important is the people around you that work with you?
I would say if you do not have a daily interaction with your crew, then you're doing something wrong. You have to learn to take criticism from them as well. That's one thing. You can't have a bunch of yes men around you. You have to have a bunch of guys around you that are going to say, no, that was weak, or come on, man, you know, you can do better, or you know what, I think this isn't the right move for you right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm the type of guy that, you know what, I'll try and convince you my point of view till the cows come home, till the end of the day.
Yeah.
So kudos to my crew because they stick with me.
Yeah. Even
though, you know what I mean, I'm a very headstrong guy, and they're not afraid to tell me whether or not I have to make sure what I'm doing is the right move at that time. You know what I mean? And I don't even have necessarily a big crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got about 3 or 4 guys that are helping me build my brand.
Mm-hmm.
And they're honest, true, down to earth, real people that I've known since I was a kid.
How do you how do you balance their feedback with your creative vision? Because I'm sure there might be some times where you might bump into each other.
I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you're both moving in the same direction,
yeah,
that's all that matters. If they say, well, you know what, I can't convince you to do this type of record right now, we'll revisit that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying I like your vision. Maybe I could write, I could write something like that for somebody else. But there's many ways to skin a cat, right? So it's not all.
It's not all that. It's not always easy.
Yeah, it's not all one method, right? There's lots of avenues for everyone's ideas when it comes to exploring business ventures and building a brand.
It's definitely been a pleasure having you here. We got like 2 minutes left before Always Digging takes over the microphones. I wish you all the success with this project and what you continue to do. Maybe I Was Wrong with Junior Reid.
Maybe I Was Wrong featuring Junior Reid. Check that out on YouTube on the Ironic TV channel. Maybe I Was Wrong, Ironic featuring Junior Reid. Shout out to Next Generation Sound, IRONIC 613.
In I guess 30 seconds or so, what would you say? Who would you say is kind of been the most influential person that you looked up to?
I mean, someone that I like, a family member.
It could be family, music, that's kind of kept you on that focused path.
Jeez, I have to say, I mean, I don't want to sound like an arrogant prick and say me, but motivational, someone that I've always looked up to.
Yeah, it's kind of kept you on that, path to say, I can do this. I got to believe in myself.
I know that's ironic.
Yeah.
But my son's my pure motivation.
Yeah.
And he's so smart. He's so smart. This kid's gonna be a quantum physicist or something. He's really intelligent little boy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even curse. That's one thing I got to give.
Just not around you.
I was a swearing machine at 13.
Yeah.
But that's motivation. That's not. You're right. That's motivation. That's not someone I look up to.
Yeah.
Someone I.
But I'll take that because that's something that's keeping you focused, keeping you. Do you ever pull out that picture and look at it every once in a while?
Absolutely,
yeah?
Absolutely. It's in my wallet right now.
Nice.
That's someone that I look to for motivation.
Yeah.
That's someone that's the man I work for.
Nice.
Well,
brother, it's been great having you, MC Ironic. I wish you all success in the world, brother.
Yeah.
You've overcome some challenging situations to sort of come out the other end a little bit better than when you went in, and that's a good story to tell. Those of you online, thank you very much for joining us this Sunday afternoon. Up next is the Always Digging crew, and they're going to be spinning I'm sure it's going to be some phenomenal stuff you've never heard before.
I said that I love you so, and I mean it so. From the bottom of my heart, I'm telling you to play. Baby, I saw that something in your eyes. Comes to no surprise that you turn me oh so giddy. What's up, people? This is Omar, and you're listening to iLive Radio. Changing the way you listen to radio.
Hi, this is Robert Townsend, and you're listening to iLive Radio. Hey, there's only one radio station I listen to, and it's iLive. It's iLive!
How you doing? What's good? It's Nkechi the Lyrical, sitting in my zone here, vibing and listening to iLive. And if you don't know, get to know. And if you do know, you don't know. And if you know, then relax and enjoy the ride.
The best internet radio station around. iLife Radio, the new social network.
Welcome to iLive Radio. Hi, I'm ODJ, your host from Amalgamation in Sound. Join me every Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. where I'll bring you the very best in UK soul, house, broken beat and everything in between. Remember to join in every Saturday 6 to 8 p.m. for Amalgamation in Sound. See you there.
Vibes and Vinyl is here every Friday live at 8 p.m. on iLiveRadio.com. Formerly of Toronto's FM radio airwaves, DJs Gene King and Ray Prasad are in the house once again to continue their tradition, promoting great house music to the world.